Danny Fenton, he was just 14 when his parents built a very strange machine. It was designed to view a world unseen. He's gonna catch 'em all 'cause he's Danny Fenton.
Hey, what's up, man? It's Tre Swervo, and welcome back to the Tre Swervo Channel. Today we are going to be talking about why Danny Phantom was canceled. But before we get into that, please subscribe, and please help my channel grow. Comments, likes, and sharing this could go a long way. Let's get started with the overall success of the TV show. In terms of success, Danny Phantom managed to accumulate 3 seasons. Now, you had to be really popular to put together 3 seasons in this era of cartoons. Within these 3 seasons, they put together about 53 episodes. Danny Phantom was on an incredible run at this point, and they put together a plethora of movies, including Rain Storm, The Ultimate Enemy, and my personal favorite, Reality Trip. I can't harp on this enough, but they were having an incredible run in a very, very competitive era. At this point, they even had 2 video games developed in its honor. Now, you can argue about the overall quality of the video games, but that's rather here nor there. That's not my argument at this point. We're here to argue about why overall Danny Phantom was canceled. Now, back in the day, if you had a show, a video game, and a movie, business had to be booming. At this point, you can make the inference that Danny Phantom was being groomed to join the Nickelodeon heavyweights, such as the Fairly Odd Parents and SpongeBob SquarePants in terms of cartoon. This poses the question, if Danny Phantom was so popular, why was it canceled? What happened? Why did it fall from fame? Now, I can narrow this down to about 2 reasons. First, SpongeBob was applying some serious pressure, and I mean some serious pressure. And SpongeBob is literally still going on to this day. Now, SpongeBob still and was having a legendary and iconic run. But as a result, Danny Phantom's merch, it stopped selling. They were getting booted off primetime slots, and their video game sales were just plummeting. I mean, at this point, they were just joining Danny Phantom in SpongeBob-related games. In my opinion, SpongeBob had the larger market because Danny Phantom, grand scheme, younger boys was their audience. While on the other hand, SpongeBob appealed to both genders, okay? Everyone kind of loves SpongeBob. And if you want to go far enough, they even had like non-binary characters. But once again, this is not a knock on Danny Phantom. SpongeBob is going on to this day. So, of course, I don't see too many cartoons really going head to head with SpongeBob. The second reason why Danny Phantom was canceled is a little bit more spicy in my opinion. The creator, Butch Hartman, was granted a 2-year contract for Danny Phantom, and he foolishly started overspending on the budget. Let's go down a list of his fiscally irresponsible mistakes. First, he switched to an animation company that cost double the price. Now, in my opinion, it was much needed. You can even tell by the portal in the first season compared to some rays in the 3rd season. The animation needed some improvement, especially for an action-based cartoon. But on top of this, he also started hiring voice actors without Nickelodeon's consent, and this started to irritate Nickelodeon as a whole. Transitioning, he also went over the budget of $20,000 when trying to make the movie Rain Storm. And to be honest, the movie Rain Storm was kind of mid. But that's not my business to tell right now, because that's not really what we're talking about. Anyways, let's move back on to the list. He then asked for $2 million to advertise the movie Ultimate Enemy. And as you can kind of expect, the movie flopped. They agreed under the circumstances to give him $2 million to advertise, that he would then bring back $5 million. But he then only brought back $50,000. So that really, really irritated him, because now at this point, he's spending more than what he's bringing back. And he's doing stuff behind their back. So at this point, Nickelodeon was ready to cut ties. But unfortunately, he was under contract until the 3rd season. And most of this was taking place between kind of the end of the 1st season in the between the second season. As a result, when season 3 started to air, they started actually losing their slots. So shows like The Fairly Odd Parents, SpongeBob, of course, they were taken over. So times where you would assume Danny Phantom will be on, there would be another cartoon already in place of theirs. And they received little to no airtime, which goes hand in hand, but there is a difference in my opinion. Because one, there's time slots, which is already given to you. Airtime is already in the meeting saying, you know what, you're not getting this period. So it's like I'm losing what I have and I'm not even getting an opportunity in the first place. So at this point, you could tell, well, there might not be a 4th season, which overall, there wasn't. And to add insult to injury, the creator Butch Hartman, he only worked 1 episode of the 3rd season, which was why a lot of people say the 3rd season was mid. But the animation was beautiful in my opinion. Ultimately, this is why Danny Phantom was canceled. But this brings up the question, could this have been avoided? In my opinion, probably not, but why? Danny Phantom was an action-based cartoon on a channel where action-based cartoons weren't prioritized, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Animation in itself is very expensive, especially at a time where SpongeBob and The Fairly Odd Parents were Nickelodeon's most profitable cartoons, and their production costs were substantially cheaper than Danny Phantom's. Both SpongeBob and The Fairly Odd Parents spent a fraction of Danny Phantom's animations costs, and they were tripling their profit. So at this point, it was like, why fund such an expensive project where I'm putting in like a fraction of the effort and it's taken off to the moon? Which, from a business perspective, I can understand why they would discontinue it and stick with SpongeBob and The Fairly Odd Parents.
Castle, huh?
Yeah,
which
sure.
are both still airing to this day. Whew. But man, that's a wrap for today. That concludes today's episode. Please comment below if you would be open to a Danny Phantom reboot or maybe even a Danny Phantom movie. They've been dropping some fan trailers. Go check it out on YouTube. Also, let me know what shows I should do next, okay? I'm thinking about doing, I'm just playing. Drop a comment below. And once again, I'm Tre Swervo, and I'm out of here, my boy.